Things just took an interesting turn in the Rasmus Andersson trade rumor saga as Razz has finally spoken out. He has revealed an interesting update on his talks with the Flames that has many fans concerned, a bit from the player side and from the team side. We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And let's hop in and talk about this Razz update. It has been a while, and at least this Razz update genuinely isn't just trade rumors. It's not someone coming up with, a ridiculous trade proposal or anything like that. I feel like those kind of came and went in July, and I know that's a big knock on wood that hopefully those crazy ones are gone, but who knows, maybe they'll pick up later and we can take a look at them. But let's hop in, and there's so many different articles we could take a look at because it kind of is the big thing right now in the Flames world per se, but I decided to take this one from Athlon Sports written by Antonio Lasada, so all credit due to him there. But he writes, Flames Rasmus Andersson reveals block trade amid contract negotiations. And it's funny because are there contract negotiations going on, and is it a new block trade, or is it this one that we kind of heard about way earlier in the offseason about some sort of startling deal? Well, let's get in because, as I said, things took an interesting turn. So, Calgary Flames defenseman Rasmus Andersson aired out where things stand between him and the franchise when it comes to his contract situation, which is something I think every single Flames fan has been waiting for. Andersson made clear that there has been no progress in contract discussions for over a month, leaving his future with the club in limbo heading into the final season of his 6-year, $27.3 million deal. Now, you can take that a few different ways, that there's no talks in terms of contract discussions. Does that mean, the Flames do not want to sign him? They're going to keep trying to trade him? Does it mean Andersson doesn't want to talk contract with the Flames? Or does it mean, kind of something in the middle? Maybe the Flames, aren't up. That's not high up on their list, but you'd think it would be. Maybe Andersson just is done with the team. Who knows? It could mean a lot of different things. But let's continue. So speaking with Swedish outlet Expression on Friday, Expressen, as translated by Google, Andersson revealed he turned down a significant long-term contract from another NHL franchise. He didn't specify which one about 6 weeks ago, so, early July, late June kind of thing, citing family reasons for blocking the trade to that undisclosed team. Now, when it happened, a lot of people were saying it's the LA Kings, and it could be the LA Kings. A lot of people were saying it's the Ottawa Senators. It could be the Ottawa Senators, and we could speculate all day long about, all the other 31 teams in the league almost when it comes to it, but let's get into that maybe a little bit later. So here is what he said. I thought about a lot of things. I talked to my family and thought that right then and there, I wasn't really keen on moving my family there and signing a long-term contract. That's what it all came down to, Andersson said. Now, would you say that about an LA? Why wouldn't you want to move your family to LA? I know there's a lot of reasons in terms of taxes and traffic and whatever else, but that to me sounds maybe a little bit more like Ottawa, but again, not too sure there. So Andersson added that he had given the Flames a list of teams he would consider signing with if traded, but the club that extended the offer was not on that list. He also made it clear that he's not given the Flames one single destination he'd unlock a trade to, which was also kind of speculated. So here's the quote. I've not given Calgary a team that I only want to play with one team. That is not true, he said, addressing speculation that he was fixated on joining the Vegas Golden Knights. And that one's crazy because that actually came from a more esteemed source in Elliot Friedman. It wasn't just, your bog standard kind of hockey speculation writer, but he was the one who had, said he'd heard that it was just Vegas essentially for Andersson. But Razz has made that, more clear that it's not just one team because a lot of Flames fans were upset about that and feel like the player has too much power, and maybe the player does still have too much power in this scenario, at least what's been reported so far. I'd love to hear Craig speak out on this too, but I know that some of these business matters obviously do stay private until something does happen. But let's continue here. So there's been no movement from either side. That's the other huge part. This big interesting turn is that there's literally nothing, no contact. So since relaying his rejection of that outside offer to Calgary, talks have gone silent between Andersson and the Flames regarding a contract extension. Again, you can speculate. What does that mean? Does that mean the Flames aren't interested in signing? Does that mean Andersson's not interested in signing? Does that mean Andersson wants to be traded away? Does that mean the Flames want to trade Andersson away? either way, it kind of shows that maybe Andersson's time is done here. But it's funny because the longer this goes on, the more you think Andersson's going to be with the Flames until at least the trade deadline. But either way, it's a lot of maybes, I guess. Andersson said he has not heard about a potential trade or new contract in more than a month, and it remains unclear whether the Flames have paused efforts to move him or if suitable trade proposals have yet to materialize. Both are definitely possibilities. I haven't actually spoken to Calgary since they made the request, which was a month and a half ago, Andersson said. No one has heard back since then. Sometimes you hear a lot, sometimes you hear a little. And I'm not surprised. Maybe it left a sour taste in the Flames' mouths, especially Conroy's, when Andersson rejected what was reported to be an absolute, mega deal for both the Flames and for Andersson. So I could see that being a possibility as well. So among the teams linked to Andersson are the Ottawa Senators and the LA Kings, but there is still no clarity about where the defenseman will play from 2026 to 2027 and on. And that is true. I mean, that's just a fact of the matter here. So a decision looms for the Flames and Rasmus Andersson, as we know. The 28-year-old blue liner who tallied 11 goals and 20 assists over 81 regular season games last year has been the subject of steady trade rumors this summer as he approaches unrestricted free agency next July. If no extension is reached midway through next season, it's fair to assume Andersson will generate significant interest ahead of the 2026 trade deadline. The Flames, assuming they cannot convince Andersson to re-sign with them, will then face the decision of either trading him at that point or keeping him, risking losing him for another in the offseason if he enters free agency and signs elsewhere. Risk losing him for nothing, of course. So it is interesting. Do the Flames want to convince Andersson to stay, or is it kind of evident at this point that Andersson will not be a Flame anymore past the trade deadline sort of thing? I'm sure Andersson is honest in this situation, and I don't see why the Flames wouldn't be either, but who knows? If something materializes, something materializes. If not, we can just speculate further. Now, a little bit more that was said on this matter. At Fiery Sharky on Twitter tweeted this out. So GSN writes that LA made a proposal that would take your breath away. I know what the proposal was. That's a quote from Andersson, apparently. So did you lose your breath? No or yes? No. Then I won't say if it was LA or maybe something else. Only I know that. Some team made a very good offer. That's it. Not keen on moving my family there. However, Andersson chose to reject the offer and is therefore still under contract with Calgary. I know I didn't organize that the best, but essentially it sounds like that trade was for sure from LA. It sounds like Andersson just doesn't want to go play for the Kings, doesn't want to move his family to Los Angeles, which is interesting. Hey, Calgary over LA, let's go. But it's a lot of people are still speculating about those teams, whether it's LA, Ottawa, maybe someone else. But that makes it sound like it's LA, which is just kind of another interesting turn, I guess, in this whole thing. So one other quote here. I thought about a lot of things. I talked to my family and thought that right then and there, I wasn't really keen on moving my family there and signing a long-term contract. That's what it all came down to. I communicated that decision to Calgary. I said, if you want to trade me, this is the number of teams I can think of signing for, but this wasn't one of them. And again, it's not 100% true or for certain that it's LA, but it just really seems like it is LA. Either way, again, it sounds like Andersson's being honest in this situation. Does the player have a lot of power? Yes, and I'm not 100% sure why, but still, it's interesting. That's the best way to put it, just like the title. Things have taken an interesting turn. Thank goodness we've heard Rasmus Andersson speak out finally after, going through this whole summer about it. Would love to hear what Craig has to say on it as well. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. Do you want to see Andersson traded this summer to just get it over with or at the deadline? Or would you like to see him sign long-term in Calgary? Now let's get into the comment of the day to wrap up this video, as we love to do here on the channel. Comes from the most recent video on the channel, and this was honestly, it was a video about the future, kind of. Well, that's not the comment of the day. We all ran over that. It's this one here. So Kayla and Clint, they said, we are going to the playoffs next season. Coronato, 40 goals. Oh, baby. We haven't had a 40-goal scorer in a while, obviously. Hey, the Flames could be in the playoffs next year. It's very up in the air, very exciting with all the youth. Some of the vets still going. Could the Flames sneak in? If they play just slightly better than last year, then they definitely could. But always nice to bring in a positive comment to wrap up the vid. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, like you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.